Welcome students of class 12 commerce. In our accountancy syllabus, today my topic is to understand shares and kinds of shares. Let us first understand what share means. A share is that fractional part of the total share capital which forms the basis of ownership interest in a company. A share in a company is not a mere sum of money but an interest constituting diverse rights conferred on its holders through a contract between him and the company. According to Section 284 of the Companies Act 2013, a share means share in share capital of a company and includes stock. Hence, a share represents a bundle of rights and liabilities besides constituting a sum of money. In India, shares are goods, trade article of a company, which are transferable as provided by the articles of the company. According to the Sales of Goods Act 1930, goods means any kind of movable property other than auctionable claims and money and includes stock and shares. The person who holds these shares in their name are called shareholders. Kinds of shares. As per section 43 of the Companies Act 2013, two types of shares can be issued by a company, namely preference shares and equity shares. However, preference share capital is that share capital which consists of preference shares. Similarly, share capital constituting equity shares is called equity share capital. Preference shares are those which carry these rights. Number first, in respect of dividends, it carries a preferential rights to be paid at a fixed rate or a fixed amount before anything is paid on the equity shares. Number second, to be repaid the amount of the capital on the winding up of a company before the repayment of equity shares. In addition, these preference shares also have a right to participate or in part in excess profits left after being paid to equity shares, or have a right to participate in the premium at the time of redemption. Equity shares are those shares which are not preference shares and are called equity shares. In particular, equity shares are those which are entitled to a dividend and a repayment only after the claims of preference shares have been satisfied. That is, an equity shareholder is entitled to all the profits of a company after settling the fixed claims on preference shares. Preference shares are classified broadly under these. Now, first, cumulative preference shares, non-cumulative preference shares, participating preference shares, non-participating preference shares, convertible preference shares, non-convertible preference shares, redeemable preference shares, and irredeemable preference shares. Let us try to understand all of these one by one. Number first, cumulative preference shares. Cumulative preference shares are those shares on which areas of dividend accumulate are called cumulative preference shares. A preference share is always deemed to be a cumulative one unless otherwise stated specifically. In other words, the holders of such shares have a right to claim areas of dividend. If any for any year it has not been paid, before any dividend is paid to equity shareholders. Non-cumulative preference shares. Non-cumulative preference shares are those shares on which arrears of dividend do not accumulate as per the express provisions in the Articles of Association. Non-cumulative preference shares, dividend is payable only out of profits of that year, and if profits are not sufficient, there will be no dividend. Participating preference shares. As per the provisions of Articles of Association, such preference shares enjoy a fixed rate of dividend and have uh, these preferential rights. Number first is a right to participate in the remaining profits in addition to the ordinary preference dividend. Second, a right to participate in the surplus asset left after the repayment of capital to equity shareholders at the time of winding up of the company. Such shares are called participating preference shares. Now we have non-participating preference shares. Non-participating preference shares are those shares which are not participating shares, and except otherwise specifically mentioned preference shares are always non-participating preference shares. Convertible preference shares. Convertible preference shares are those shares uh, which can be converted into equity shares. Then we have non-convertible preference shares. These are those shares when a preference share cannot be converted into equity share, then it is said to be non-convertible preference shares. Then we have redeemable preference shares, and if the company status at the time of the issue of preference shares that the amount of the shares will be repaid on or after a certain date, shares will be called redeemable preference shares in accordance with the provisions of section 55 of the Companies Act 2013. Then we have irredeemable preference shares. No company limited by share shall, after the commencement of the Companies Act 2013, shall issue any preference share which are irredeemable. And now we have equity shares of two kinds. Number first is uh, equity shares issued by a company limited by shares to the public or its members under section 43 of the Companies Act 2013, and civic equity shares section 288 of the Companies Act 2013. Dear students, this was all about shares and different kinds of shares, and I will meet you tomorrow with the next topic. Till then, Allah Hafiz.